Hello and welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. I wanted to talk today about how to organize your fridge so that you can obtain all your goals for the new year. For our fridge, I noticed I had a lot of healthy food in there, but it was a disaster. Ugh. And so I thought, it might be a good idea to organize this so that I feel better about the food that I'm preparing and that I can make this food last longer. One thing that we run into is that a lot of our produce was expiring or going bad before we had a chance to buy it. It just felt like maybe we were over purchasing on some items. So I decided that we're going to go ahead and organize this. And I got these bins from the Dollar Tree. I got a whole box of them. And then I have these salad storage containers from Amazon. I can link in the description below. And I got these towels from the Costco actually. These are a really great thing to have around. And what I'm going to do is start by showing you the best ways to store and organize your food to make your produce last longer. So these salad containers are really excellent because they can hold 2 containers of their packages of the lettuce leaves from Aldi's is what we use. And it's a good way to keep them fresh. So what I did is I first laid down a paper towel and then the green grid, and then when you in the lid you want to open it up so that it vents out as well. And these were a huge culprit for us for expiring quickly. I mean, our lettuce bins and packages, they got slimy really fast. So this was, just a huge improvement, and this really works. If you found yourself throwing out multiple packages of lettuce all the time, this is a good solution for you as well, because this is going to help maintain that moisture content level so that your lettuce leaves don't get slimy so quickly. Once I have a couple of shelves cleared out in the fridge, I go ahead and start cleaning them off. I use a product called Pure Haven. It's a really nice non-toxic product line that I really recommend that you take a look into. It's the most comprehensive that I have found out of any product when it comes to toxins and things that could be compromising to your health and to your family. I can link them in the description below for you to take a look. I think they have great skincare, great cleaning products, everything, so take a look at that. Next, I'm going to move to my fruit drawer. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind, apples and citrus in particular are 2 that are not really good to keep on your counter at room temperature. So citrus, even though it's enjoyed more at room temperature, it deteriorates pretty quickly and it dries out when you leave it on the counter. So it's good to keep it in the fridge. And apples are the same. They get soft and they deteriorate pretty quickly when left out. When you keep them in your fridge in a crisper, they last a very long time. And so I recommend that you keep these in one of your crisper drawers. I put those in the bins that I got from the Dollar Tree to keep them separated a little bit, and this helps with visual management to see what you need. Before, I had them all stacked in the drawer, and I found tons of at the bottom that needed to be removed that had dead spots on them. So this way you keep them from getting too overstocked as well. When you have that drawer too full, the air can't circulate, so it can cause them to deteriorate quicker. The other thing is, how do you do this when it comes to humidity? Low humidity is a tick hit. This will help keep that from spoiling and keeping longer for you. And as a side note, if you're into non-dairy plant-based butter, this is a really great one. This is from Country Crock. It is my favorite, and I found that it works well for baking, so that's why I have so many sticks of it, because I just came out of the holidays. But it works great for baking, it works great for cooking, so this is what I would recommend if you're looking for something new to try. Now on to mushrooms. These are another big culprit for going bad in our household. Unfortunately, one of these packages has already gone bad, but the issue is that in this plastic sealed up, mushrooms, they get slimy, they start to smell really quickly. So one of the things that you need to do is take them out of that and wrap them in a towel. That's going to help with the moisture content. I use one of these Dollar Tree bins again. I took one of those Costco towels, placed it in the bottom, and I'm just going to wrap that over the top to keep those. Now for the vegetables, I do the same. I take one of the Costco towels, I fold them up, put them in the bottom, and this is for moisture control and to absorb any juices that may come off of the vegetables. Now I'm going to tackle the produce drawer here. Some of you might notice a couple mistakes that I've made already, so keeping tomatoes in the fridge usually is not a good idea. Putting them on your counter is going to give them a much better flavor, and they're really going to add more to your meals. So take those out of the fridge. And the next thing, I got some bins set up. I'm going to get my vegetables and I'm going to sort them and organize them in here. The cucumbers, take them out of that plastic. That's another culprit that gets slimy very quickly. You take those out of there, wrap them in a towel, and that's going to prevent those from getting that nasty film all over them. The other things I'm going to put in here are some carrots and some celery, and this is going to create a really nice visual maintenance of what our stock is in the fridge. We use a lot of fruit and vegetables every day, so for us it's a good way to store them. And this way too, because they're visible and because they're right there, you're going to grab them and you're going to use them up quickly. I have some green onions here. I'm going to put those in a jar with some water, and the other thing I have is parsley and cilantro. These herbs tend to do really well when they have a little bit more humidity, so putting them in water, they stay fresher much longer instead of wilting on you. You can trim the bottoms off as if you would for flowers to assist with that process. The only herb that you kind of want to stay away from putting in the fridge is basil. Basil in the fridge will have a tendency to turn darks, even black, so that one you want to leave out. Maybe even get a fresh basil plant, but the other herbs do really well in the fridge like this. And this is how I can store them for a long period of time without them going wilting and getting sour on you. And again, it's all about visual management. You eat what you see. And so if your New Year's resolution was to get healthy and lose weight, when you open up your fridge and the first thing that you see is this beautiful assortment of vegetables, you're going to want to gravitate towards what can I make, what can I cook with those. And also you're going to want to use them so that you don't waste them. One of the things that I noticed for us is that we had a lot of fruit and veg in our fridge, but the barrier to preparing them was you have to take it all out, you have to find it first of all because it's going to be buried in there deep, and then take it out of the packaging and things like that. And because there was a process there, I didn't tend to use it as much. But now when I open my fridge and it's just right there, I mean, I'm pulling out cucumbers for smoothies daily, I'm cutting peppers up daily to add to eggs and this and that, whereas before I wouldn't have done that. And so it's been really great for us. Another one here is this bag of romaine hearts. I actually find that romaine hearts do really well in the fridge for a long period of time. I don't have as many issues with them. I'm just sticking a paper towel in with the lettuce and then turning them over on its back so that way it can absorb any moisture. And you know, this is one of the odd and end things there. Another thing to keep in mind are your onions. You actually don't want to keep these in the fridge. They get soft and they get mushy in the fridge. So I'm just taking off a little bit of the loose skin, not all the skin, just some that are loose, and then I'm putting them in this bag that I got from IKEA, and I'll hang that in my pantry. If you have potatoes in your pantry as well, you want to keep these separate actually. Potatoes can produce not potatoes, but the onions produce a gas that can turn your potatoes sour, so keep them separate. Ginger is one that you want to keep in a sealed container as well, but you want to keep it dry. So I take a look at make sure there's no moldy spots. If there is, cut it off and then dry that area that you cut with a towel so that you can keep that for as fresh as you can for as long as you can, and put it in a sealed container. You can put it in plastic bags, but I try not to use plastic bags if I can get away with it, just to try to reduce waste. I take my broccoli, I take my cauliflower out of the plastic, and the other thing is with berries, I put a towel on top, a paper towel on top, and I flip them over to again allow them to drain moisture and keep that low. Now, one of the things I wanted to tell you is that I try not to use as many paper towels. That's why I like the Costco large pack, because it has you can wash it, you can clean it, you can reuse it. You're not going to be using so much of your resources. Now, to add a little extra pizzazz, you know I love to do DIYs. I'm going to make some nice labels for my containers. I got this chalk board labels from the Dollar Tree. These chalk pens from the Dollar Tree, and these are the containers and where I'm going to place the labels. And so what I did is I actually started with this chalk pen from the Dollar Tree. It's nice and soft, and I'm doing kind of like an outline of the vegetables and what they look like with that to start. And then I go in, I have another container of pens that I got from Amazon. They're actually really nice. They're a chalk pen that is neon colors, so it's got red and orange and purple, green. It's really pretty, and I can link that down for you in the description below. These two additional packages, they're a little bit of a different consistency. So as the ones from the Dollar Tree, they're almost like a really soft crayon. These chalk pens, they're a little bit more liquid, a little bit more fluid, and so you really get a vibrant color on those. And then I just go back through all of the outlined images, and I add in that extra color. And I think all of this added detail and artwork can make these labels look really fun. And then of course I take the white pens and I add on the names of each item, and I think these turned out really well. The other marker you see me use here is the gold chalk pen from the Dollar Tree. It's really nice to go in at the end and finish off with a couple of gold accents. It's not as saturated in its color as the pens that I referenced, but it does add a little accent and give it a little extra emphasis, and I think that it turns out really nice at the end. And here's a look at how those labels turned out on the vegetable containers. I think they really make it pop and make that even more inviting to use. And because of that, these vegetables get used up really quickly. So even though I have them out in the fridge, not in sealed containers, I find them doing really well, mostly because they're getting used and we're not over purchasing. Now it's time to tackle the side doors. I did get a couple of these containers for some of the sandwich products. You know, the mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, those are used up quite a bit, and it makes it a lot more convenient if you have a way to just pull it out of the fridge and not have to get out a whole bunch of utensils. A good way to get the mayonnaise in the container without making a big mess is taking a Ziploc container, and you see I folded it in on itself a little bit to make a little bit of a bowl. That just makes it easier to get the mayonnaise towards the bottom and keep it clean up towards the top, so that you can just unfold it, zip it shut, and you're ready to go. And then what you'll do is you'll turn it on its side, you'll make a cut in the one corner, so that almost like as if you were doing an icing bag. And then once you cut that corner off, you take that whole side and you tuck that down into the mayonnaise bottle. Don't just hold it up to it, otherwise you're going to make a mess. Tuck it down in there so that it's gonna be getting everything inside the bottle deep and not making a mess on your countertop. Now if you have some leftover mayonnaise, don't worry. What I did here is I took a bowl and I made a little bit of a homemade ranch. I always make homemade ranch. I don't buy it anymore because it's so easy to do, and I prefer the taste and the consistency. Just put the mayo in the bowl. We use a vegan mayo, by the way. I can link it down below. It's another product that I highly recommend that just really has a good consistency and texture and flavor. And the easy way to do this is you thin it down with a little bit of milk. You add some spices. I do garlic, onion powder, some Italian herbs, and that's it. And it is delicious. I recommend that you try this, and you will probably stop buying ranch dressing as well. Now for the mustard, I had these two containers. I had honey mustard, I had Dijon mustard, and I was just gonna mix them together to make a honey Dijon mustard. And I just put them both in the container, alternating them, so I didn't have to waste any more bags or containers. And then I just gave it a really strong mix, and it turned out perfectly. And I really enjoy that on sandwiches or pretzels or whatever. It's delicious. And the other thing is, these bottles are nice because the tops of the containers fit down in them perfectly, so you can let them stand upside down and drain in there, and it works out quite well. The last thing that is a mention that you would want to prevent from doing in your fridge is putting your bread in the fridge. This is another big no-no that I am making a mistake on here. They recommend that you put them on the counter. And so I got these 2 bread boxes from Amazon. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go with. And the one you had to build. So unfortunately I just had to go for it, build it, and see how it was going to turn out. And luckily we loved it. You can see my son loves it as well. It also works as a car garage. But the bamboo one is really quite large, and so ultimately we ended up going with that one just because we have a lot of bread in our household, and it fits a lot more. But this white one is also really beautiful and sleek, so to keep things hid away. Little side note, if you have extra pegs, tape it to the back so that when one is lost, you know exactly where it's at. And here is a final look at how everything turned out. I'm so happy with the way it looks. It looks like we have all this healthy food and fruit, and it's exactly the same food and fruit that was in the fridge at the beginning of the video. It just didn't look very healthy. It didn't look very inviting. But now when you look at it, it looks like a chef's dream. You just want to cook something with it. You just want to prepare something. You want to eat more vegetables. You want to eat more fruit. And it's such a funny trick that you play on your mind, because it's not like I went grocery shopping to make my fridge look like this. This is what we had in there before. And so it's just by organizing things, getting rid of old and expired items, you can make your fridge visually appealing. You can have less waste, prevent your produce from going bad, prevent yourself from over purchasing, over buying for your fridge, because when everything has a home, you're less likely to continue to buy more. It's a visual management tool, and so it's really great for your home. I hope that you try it out this year, and I hope you continue to look at these videos with me on how to organize yourself for the new year to prosper and reach all of your goals. Thank you so much for watching.